Right, back in the garage. KTM's back up on the ramp. Got a few bits to do. But just come back from a trip around the Pyrenees. And yet again, she's thrown up another fault. So, just riding around Andorra and going over a mountain pass, and then all of a sudden then I've got a general failure and oil problems. So sorry for the noise, but it is peeing it down at the moment outside, and you could probably hear the rain on the garage roof. Having a lovely July. As I said, riding around, and all of a sudden then all on the screen here, general failure flashing up at me, and you get the engine warning light here, and engine management light, and the warning light, and yeah, message on here just saying oil temperature. Apparently then my oil temperature was 149 degrees Celsius, and then all of a sudden it would go down to 80, 20, 60, so definitely a problem. What's probably looking like the oil sensor. So if I just turn the ignition on, and I'm probably expecting it to read what it's reading now. The faulty one is still on. Yeah, battery should be a little bit healthier than that, but it's not too bad. Oil temperature there, you can see 15 degrees, which I expect that to be around that now-ish, but maybe the heat of the day, because we were in a good 30-degree heat as well, just was maybe making the problem worse. But on that day it was throwing up all sorts of failures, and then the next day as well, the oil temperature was just 3 dashes, just giving no reading at all. And it looks like then the max reading the oil temperature tells you is 149. It just wouldn't go any higher than that, but it was just all over the scale, giving way different readings here. So it's a case of testing it and changing it. So if you're encountering that, general failures and warning lights, and then your oil temperature's all over the place, then it does point towards the sensor. So let's look into it a bit further. There's your oil reservoir. Don't mention about the oil level. It is correct. Sometimes when you start the bike, even after just washing something like that, you've still got oil around the system, and then this may give you a little bit of a false reading until you go for a proper spin, get it all hot and everything, and then let it go cold, and then take a fresh reading. Now luckily it's quite easy accessible, which it is part of the filling cap here on top of the reservoir. The cable that comes off it comes up here, up the side here, and up along here, and the connection for it is just here, so it's quite accessible. A few cable ties to take off just down here, and one cable tie here. Now I have replaced this before, which I'll tell you about in a second. So that was an orange cable tie, and just replaced it for a black one because I didn't have, and I'm not paying KTM orange cable ties. Just going to cut the cable tie so we can undo that. So just disconnected the cable. I don't know whether you can see that. Hang on a minute. So you can see 1, 2 and 3 labelled on the connector part of the wiring loom, and then cable 1 then green with blue stripes, and cable 2 what looks like green and a black, and then a brown and a black cable 3. Okay, so just to quickly show you in the wiring diagram, you can then see the unit, the actual connection, the wires coming in. Then you've got your cable number 3, bolts coming in, and then splitting off to the temperature, and then your switch, which will be the oil level float switch. So at least that gives you a little bit of a guide. And if you want to go further back, then as I said, to the unit under the seat to test connections and wires. You can follow it around this way, follow it around to the other diagram and work your way back to test the cables. So just working my way down, getting the cable ties off. We'll start here. So it's going to be a little bit tricky just getting it past this section here because of your water pipes. I've had this issue before. So in 2016, again, I was riding abroad. I was in Germany and started the bike up the next morning, and warning lights, engine management lights saying I've got no oil. Got low oil warnings. And apparently it was a known issue at the time. Just just slightly more than 2 years of ownership, so it was out of warranty as well, typically. Why is that not coming out? And yeah, the sensor had a problem. So it's been replaced once. So it was the float switch side of it had just gone open circuit, failed, and was giving me false readings. But at least, you know, the bike carried on riding. Just had to ignore it, because at least you know it was mechanically sound. Oil in the bike, you can see your oil. Everything was working as it should, but the sensor failed. So I had to replace it for a new one. The Evotech crash bungs does make your life a little bit harder. I could have undone it all and take it all out, but I have managed just to squeeze it through up and around here. So there's the connection out there. So the sensor's still inside the oil reservoir. I haven't took it out yet, which I'll do in a minute. So all I've done there is just put some crack clips onto the cable number 3, and then your middle cable, which is the temperature sensor. So we're just going to see what reading that gives. So it seems pretty stable. Looks okay to me. But as I said, it's a strange one. This might be faulty. So I was expecting this to be up and down and all over the place. A little bit more than that. But when I came back to the UK and the temperatures dropped just to, not insane heat we had in Spain and France, it started to stabilize itself. So it could be something that has cracked on the unit, or something's changed, or when it's just gone through quite a bit of heat or anything like that. There's something not quite right somewhere, but I have bought a replacement anyway, and it's going to get changed regardless. I'm just going to go ahead and undo these 2 nuts here and take it out. Okay. Well, that's it. So just to show you, so if we stick the this back onto cable 3, which is your incoming volts, where are we? This one. And then we go to the outer cable 1, which is your float switch. I'll turn the meter back on. You can then see if it's inside the bike, full of oil, the float switch will move and activate, and if it goes down, then it'll send a message then saying you're low of oil. So it's just like a magnetic switch, and you can see that functioning as it should. And the circuit activates based on your oil level, and that's what failed for me last time. This went open circuit and was giving me crazy readings. So the temperature sensor is actually in the bottom here, I believe. So if we move that over to the middle, oh, no, that one onto there, and the cable number 2. So it's giving me a reading of 3.3, and it's stabilizing. Obviously that's not going to do anything at the moment, but it was all over the place, even if I just touch. So you can see just by me holding the bottom of it, it's changing quite rapidly. That's just getting heat off my fingers. So I'm just fiddling with the cable in case there is, because there is quite a kink in the cable there. Because it has a tendency to crack down here as well, I believe. So I've got the replacement, there's the new one. And on here, it's clearly showing the part number. That way up. And apparently, I don't know when, but this has been revised. So there is a new part number where it just says the 5100. That used to be 5000, which was the original part number. So there has been a revised part, and I don't know when, but on my old invoice for this part from KTM, it does give the original 000 part number, and I just wanted to check that, but I can't see it anywhere. So the new one, so that is 3, is that one. So put it on the float switch, and again, it seems to be okay. Middle pin, sorry, so brand new one there, 2.8, which is a correct reading. I have known faulty ones to give you over, over 50 to 100 to 200 kiloohms. So we're just going to fit that and see what happens then. Right, so just going to put the new one in. Just giving this little face here a bit of a clean, and I'm going to change the crappy KTM bolts to some new, just some nice stainless steel Allen heads. So I've just got a little bit of clean engine oil on my finger, and you can see then there's 2 little O-rings on the new one. So I'm just going to give that a little coating. So that's the new one in. The third one now. Let's just put the cap back on, stop any shite going in. Connect that back up. Oil temperature 18, seems stable. So fingers crossed that's fixed it. But we shall see. I've got a little trip coming up soon as well. Another trip later in the year, so I'll update in the comments as well if anyone's interested to see if this has actually solved the problem. So yeah, there we go. Hopefully, if you've got any oil issues, that's hopefully the fix. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Peace out.